Let's have another cup of coffee, and let's have another piece of pie.
So welcome again to Coffee and Comfort with Performers Hub. And today we're excited because West Side Story is back in town.
Oh, love West Side Story.
And it's playing at the Victorian Arts Centre. And if you haven't been, go. It's such an iconic show. It's just this piece of our history that I think generation after generation will just love and adore. It seems to be timeless. And somehow, unlike Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, which was the one Shakespeare play I really didn't
Gel with.
Oh, it was so frustrating. I mean, West Side Story is also really frustrating, but so moving and so powerful.
And you've got all the other aspects of it. You've got the
music
and the dancing.
Yeah,
and, the dancing is pretty amazing.
And I've got to tell you, it was when I was like 13, I saw the movie of it.
Right,
That was my first introduction to the show. And my mum adored it. She was a terrible weeper at everything. And I used to sit and laugh at her, why are you crying? And after West Side Story, I went to my room and I full on blubbed for at least 2 hours. It just, really got me. So, but today we're talking about your journey into West Side Story.
I know, yes. It happened for me, it happened in 1983, the end of 1983. They held auditions for West Side Story. Now, West Side Story, you must understand, is one of those... for me, it was the role of Tony and, of course, Maria and all these other roles.
I wasn't lucky enough. I had tonsillitis. Audition day.
It's one of those coveted roles that every singer, actress, whatever, wants to go and do. Yeah. And I was only in my early 20s at the time. And I really, really wanted to do this role because I loved the movie and I'd, listened to the music over and over again and loved it. But I went along and I got an audition. And, of course, I, did my thing. They were going to have Tony as a dancer. Which is quite unusual, but Graham Murphy was doing the choreography.
Oh, really? He's like London Contemporary Ballet, and worked with
Sydney,
Graham,
Sydney Contemporary.
Yeah.
He was doing for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's amazing choreographer, absolutely wonderful. So he had me doing all this stuff, sliding all over the floor, push-ups and push up from the floor, back bend things and all sorts of stuff. I could do that then. Ow, it hurts now. But it was great. I had a ball. I mean, the audition was fabulous. I sang, of course, for the music director and... also, did a bit of acting for the then director. I say then director, I'll get to you, to the reason why in a minute. So got through that first round, did some more rounds going back. Obviously, I think they were looking at a lot of people because it wasn't just me in Melbourne, or us in Melbourne, it was Sydney as well. So they were doing 2 lots. Wow. Anyway, I got through all the rounds for Melbourne, and I thought, oh, great. So they said, oh, you'll just have to wait to hear. So I waited, and weeks went by, and nothing. And then suddenly, out of the blue, I got a call saying, you'll have to come back in and do the audition again because we've changed directors. Oh. Which was a real shame. Yeah. So anyway, that's just par for the course. So I went back in, had to do everything again, had to do all the dancing again because the director hadn't seen it. And, they've got to have the idea in their head. Yeah. So I went and did that, got right through again, did it all again. And this is going into the 2nd month by now. Yeah. And it was getting close to December, and anyway, hadn't heard anything for another couple of weeks again.
Slow.
And well, the fact was there was some sort of turmoil happening within the production team, and again, it was then the choreographer had left. And also the director.
Another director.
Yeah.
Dear
So,
me.
anyway, we had to all go back in again and do the whole thing again with a new director, new choreographer, do the whole thing
For the
again.
third time.
For the third time. Eventually, we finished all the auditions. I got through again, but they said, you'll now have to wait for the decision till after Christmas.
And when did the whole
Frustrating.
process start?
It was something like the end of September.
Oh, wow.
And
Wow.
it was, into October, November, and then,
So that was a stressful Christmas.
It was very stressful the whole time, but I had to just let it go, because otherwise you go mad.
But there was something that compounded the pressure, wasn't there? Because it was all being...
Yes, well, I was just going to get to that.
Sorry.
While we were doing all these auditions, we had a TV show following us around. It was Current Affair, Mike Willisey. And he was following us around during all the auditions, every one of them, all three of them. He followed us through. And
That's actually amazing that the TV company kept it going. They must have thought, whoa, okay, this is throwing off our schedule. We've got to start again and again.
yeah, oh no, I think they loved it because
really?
they thought it was more dramatic.
True, true.
Because they probably thought at the end of the first one, they thought, oh, well, we'll edit all this and put it all together and
Done.
show,
Yeah.
done deal. Oh, they're doing it again. Oh, great. Let's do it again, right? So we all went through it again, so there was this added pressure of not only having to perform for your director, music director and choreographer 3 times, but for the camera as well, and an audience out there that you knew was going to see this eventually.
Yeah.
So you really had to, at times, just shut that out.
Yeah.
You had to, because otherwise it would affect what you were doing
Yeah,
and
so
how
I was
you were
going to
thinking.
say, how did you cope, with these huge gaps and with the not knowing? How did you keep yourself firing, the third time in? And
Well, the thing is, I just kept myself going by doing singing lessons, dance classes, acting. I'd find the sheets that I was working with at the auditions and studios wherever we were, and just keep practicing them and feeling more comfortable with them as much as I could. And
then
that
different directors would want it in different ways.
yeah,
Maybe, so.
yeah, well, exactly. And as soon as you play it one way, a director would say, "Oh, but I see Tony like this, 3 times, 3 different Tonys."
Yes, good training, very good training.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes to show you cannot be set in any of your ways. I mean, the dancing changed too.
Yeah.
And in the end, Tony didn't dance.
After all that.
This threw another spanner in the works because up in Sydney, Peter Cousins was auditioning because there was no dancing in it anymore. And I mean, he's a great actor and singer, but didn't really dance. He did movement and that sort of thing, but no dancing. And so that was another foible for me, But the one great thing was, in my favour, was that because of all these eventualities coming through, like different directors and everything, I was in it right from the start. And I was getting, this momentum going, and then have to go back again. But all the time it was building and building and building.
Yeah.
So I think I had a bit of an edge as far as that was concerned, which is great for me.
Hunger.
I was
just that bit more.
Yeah, exactly. After 3 months of waiting, to hear
But
what
I mean,
going
you could
on.
so easily have just gone on. I can't be bothered with
Yeah,
this
well,
anymore.
like we were talking about the other day, how we said about, you cannot get to a door and it closes in your face, and you can either go off to another totally different direction, or you get that, I know this is right for me, I'm going to keep going. And that's what happened to me.
Yeah, and actually,
knew
I
it.
was just thinking, we said there were a dead end offers
Yeah.
two choices really,
Yes.
but I think it offers three, and the third one is not the one that anyone wants to take really, but we often do is the giving up. You know, a dead end often makes us give up on ourselves or give up on our dreams at least for a little while. Or it can be a detour. It might mean, okay, yes, but not this path. Go this way. Go around ways, which is what we were talking about with Hamish. And or it can mean, no, you just got to push on a bit further. Just come back for more. Just come back for more.
Yeah, exactly.
So often, you know, you get a rejection or a knockback, and for a day you give up and feel miserable. But when it's something that's you're meant to do, the next day you think, right, here we go. Let's go again.
Yeah, well, that's how I was feeling every time these auditions started again. So, but it was building for me. It was getting more and more want. You know, I needed that role. I was having that role.
Mine.
It was mine.
Okay, so then.
So then, anyway, I believe the TV company went up to Sydney, and they'd heard who was getting what roles. Now they were following myself.
But not you. You didn't know yet.
I didn't know anything yet. No one knew anything, but the TV company knew. They'd been told because they wanted exclusive rights for the TV, and they thought it was good publicity anyway for the production company, you know, the production team. So anyway, they went up to Sydney and told Peter Cousins while he was there in front of his singing teacher at a singing lesson. He was singing away, and they came in and told him he didn't get it. Right. And of course, you know, that's horrible. On national TV. What a horrible thing to do to someone.
Yeah, that's horrible.
You know, this is what we do with those sort of programs. But then they came down to Melbourne and saw me. Now, of course, I knew nothing. And I hear this knock on the door. In comes a TV crew. And they said, we know the outcome, the results for your, you know, whether you got the role or not. Do you want to, and we want to film it live. We want to film your reaction live. Isn't that awful? That's what they wanted to do. And anyway, I sat down and they told me, and I don't know what I was thinking, but suddenly all this pent-up emotion just came up and I bawled. I was crying on national TV. How embarrassing. But
so you were both humiliated, right?
Yes. So, you know, it was, it was an emotional journey that, you know, I'm glad Peter didn't go through the whole 3 months.
That really
and that, you know, I mean, maybe he would have got it and I would have been the one not get it. Maybe. But who knows? But that's, you know, an awful journey to go through, and then, you know. Yeah. But he'd only been in the last section.
But he did go on to play the Phantom of the Opera.
He's done some great stuff.
He's had some great work.
Yes,
it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
So you enjoyed the show, obviously.
I had a ball, and we only did Melbourne and Sydney, but it was, you know, really a great time for me. And I was certainly fit. I used to shimmy up a 30-foot pole, an aluminium pole, climbing up and shimmying down and all sorts of stuff, running round, especially that scene with Chino where he's running after Chino because he thinks he's killed Maria. Yeah. Chino killed Maria, but of course he hadn't. But then he finds Chino and he sees Maria, cuddles her, and he shoots Tony. Oh boy, it was exhausting.
Happy stuff.
It was exhausting 8 times a week, but it was fantastic. I loved it.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well.
So. Thanks. For sharing. Listen, guys, get down. You've only got a few more days. I think it's open until the 28th of April at the Victorian Arts Centre.
Well worth
and
seeing.
It's such a beautiful show. And if you haven't experienced it, or if you have, you know, just go and relive it again.
Yeah, go and do it again.
And bawl and cry and all of that. And thank you for joining us. And we'll see you next time.
for coffee and comfort. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers.
Let's have another cup of coffee and let's have another piece of pie.